Education is what's important. Training, preparation for the expected. Education, preparation for the unexpected.
All right, who wants to be a Marine millionaire? Well, guess what? I could retire today if I wanted to. Why? Because I hit 20 years? Well, guess what? I haven't. It's because I started saving when I was 20 years old. If I wanted to, I could leave at the end of my time in the Marine Corps, retire, and not get another job. So which position would you rather be in? Would you rather be in a job after the Corps, because we all love the Corps, that you hate, sitting behind a computer that you hate because you don't have any financial options? You had to take that first job that came along because you don't have any financial options. Well, I can tell you how to get where I am and to be financially secure. You can be a Marine millionaire. So some people think that they don't make enough money as a lieutenant, as a corporal, to be a Marine millionaire. Well, that's not true. So I give this as my hip pocket class. I give it all the time to every Marine I can find because it's valuable. I have a degree in finance, but that's not where I learned basic personal finance. So one time I was giving this talk and I said, who wants to be a Marine millionaire? And one of the Marines, no kidding, put his hand up and said, sir, I am a Marine millionaire. He had $1 million. And it's possible, but it takes one thing. That one thing is what the Marine Corps gives us in spades, thankfully, discipline. It takes discipline and time, and those things are very related. Einstein said that compounding interest was the eighth wonder of the world. Now, you can be on one side or the other of compounding interest. What it means basically is that if you have your money in appreciating assets, they go up over time. They tend to. He said that the person that understands compounding interest earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. What side of that equation do you want to be on? Do you want to be the winner or the loser? Marines don't like a fair fight. I suggest you do what I do and be that winner. You may have heard this one before. A lot of people give this talk. I've given it before, but in this case it's true. Back in 2008 when I was getting back from Iraq, the Marine Corps was giving away, or not giving away, they were giving out bonuses for reenlistment. I had one Marine that was set to get a $40,000 check for reenlistment. So at the time I was lieutenant, I had a finance degree. I thought that I was a wise sage, so I would sit him down and talk to him about what $40,000 was. $40,000 is a vehicle. It could be an actual vehicle, like an Infiniti, or it could be a vehicle for a secure retirement, to having financial options, to be able to buy a first house, a beach house, something that really means something to you that won't rust away. Or you can buy a car, $40,000 car. So I sat him down, I explained things, nodded, and I thought that he understood that the Marine Corps is not going to be giving $40,000 checks very often. Got back CONUS and showed up to formation one time and he had a $40,000 Infiniti. So it's 11 years later. I'd be willing to bet that that Infiniti probably costs or is worth about $5,000 now, and it probably has some rust to it. There's a number of calculators out there on the internet. Just look it up, how to be a millionaire calculator. You can find out how much over time, if invested properly, $40,000 would turn into. And if you look, it's about, depending on circumstances, about $110,000. That's what $40,000 in 2008 would be now if you invested that properly. So how to be a Marine millionaire? If you do nothing else, there's one thing that you can do in about 15 minutes to set yourself up for life. That is, on average, if you invest $20 a day, starting at age 20, and I did this via calculator online, at about age 50, depending on circumstances, you'll probably have about $1 million in the bank. But it takes discipline. I bring up the $40,000 example, but it's an extreme example, but there are easier ways to think about it. Say you wanted to go out on a Friday night, Saturday night, and enjoy yourself, which we all do. I'm not telling you to be a monk. You don't have to be a monk. And spend $150 on drinks and dinner. Well, if you just spent $75 on drinks and dinner, maybe get the less expensive cocktail, the less expensive beer, and put the difference into savings and investment, that money will compound over time and end up with financial security. If I had to tell you that one thing to do, it's invest and save $20 a day. What do? I put my money into basically two different things. One is mutual fund, that is low cost and comes with dividends, and I'll explain what that is. Dividend is basically when you own a piece of a company, you get paid money. So if I own a piece of, say, Apple or Google, which you can do, they will send you a check every quarter with actual real money, and you can put it in your bank account. You can spend it if you want to, or do what I do. I buy more of the stock which pays dividends. So if you get a diversified mutual fund that pays dividends, your yield curve will probably be much steeper than, say, your average stock. So what is a stock and what is a mutual fund? A stock is a piece of a company. So if you want to own the means of production, guess what? It's on sale, and it costs about, on sale for as low as $1. You can buy companies for as low as $1, and I do. I own a bit of Wall Street, a sprinkle of telecom, some pharmaceutical companies. When telecom is up, pharmaceuticals might be down. When pharmaceuticals is down, tech might be up. When the stock goes up in general, it appreciates, I make money. And when the company makes money, they send me a check. So that is a diversified mutual fund with dividends and low cost. There's a couple pitfalls out there, and I won't tell you what to buy. It's individual to each person. But some things to think about is, for example, inflation. Inflation steals the value of your money. This is when the Federal Reserve essentially prints money and lowers the value of everything you have in a bank account, for example. And they don't even hide this. They tell us they're trying to steal the value of our money. And if you are sitting back and doing nothing about it, you will lose about, depending on the year and time, 2% of your money every single year. And that 2% compounds over time. So after 10 years, it's not 20% that you've lost. It's much more than that. And that's if you have your money basically sitting in a bank or under your pillow, something to that effect. So you take risk regardless of what you do. And if you're willing to lose 30% of your money in 10 years, that's something you have to consider. TSP. So one of the other risks is cost. If you say get a hedge fund manager that tells you he's going to get you 50% return on your investment, but the catch is that he charges a 49% fee. It's an extreme example just to show the principle. That means that combined with the 2% inflation, you are losing money. However, if you go with an index fund, which is basically like the Dow Jones or the S&P 500, it's a broad-based fund, has very, very low fees. The difference between the fees that you're paying and the return on the investment is bigger because you're not paying fees on it. So TSP has extremely low rates. You can't get TSP rates anywhere else in the market. So I recommend the TSP. Now, if you have the new blended retirement, there's a way to magnify your investments by doing very, very little. So if you put in a 5% investment of your money, and you can do this automatically, so it's not something you have to constantly do, Uncle Sam will come in and give you an extra 5%. Imagine if you showed up to formation one morning and Gunny said that he would give you an extra $300 a month, and all you had to do was save a little bit of money for yourself. Who wouldn't do that? I would. And that money will compound over time. TSP is an outstanding deal. The only, I wouldn't even say negative about TSP, it's just something to consider, is TSP is a targeted retirement fund, which means that you start pulling money out basically when you're around 65, something like that. So if you're like me and able to retire at, say, age 40, you started saving 50% of your pay at age 20, and now you can be comfortably retire at age 40, you need to have some money in something else other than TSP. So it's a balance. You want at the minimum 5% in TSP, so Uncle Sam comes in and matches. Then take some other investments, say $10 of that $20, and put it in a broad-based mutual fund that pays dividends. And that way you can retire when you choose to, not when Uncle Sam tells you you can retire. What position do you want to be in? Do you want to be in a commanding position where you can do what you want to do with your life? Do you want to have to pick up the first job that comes along because you have a $600 a month car payment? Or do you want to have the ability to say, I'm just going to take 6 months off. You know, I'm tired of this job. I'm going to move to another job. I'm going to take 6 months off. Why? Because I can. Because I have savings and investments. You can get to $1 million if you start now. A lot of Marines think that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CEO, so I can't save money. They think that you have to have a huge paycheck to become a millionaire, and it's not true. I'm living proof of that. I did not start in the Marine Corps as a major. So you can be in control of your own destiny, and you can make $1 million, and it takes very little. So I'm going to say it one more time. There are many banks out there that cater to the military. Give one of them a call and tell them you want this is what I do, you can choose what you want to do, a broad-based index fund, that's a mutual fund, that pays dividends, high dividends. What is dividends? It's cash. Every 3 months, my companies that I own pay me money, and you can too. So if you start investing and stop making excuses, you can be a millionaire. What does that take? Is there sacrifice? Yeah, there's a little sacrifice. It means maybe going to the chow hall 2 more times a day. It means maybe buying 1 energy drink as opposed to 2, maybe getting a 6-pack as opposed to 12-pack. But where do you want to be in 30 years? You can be a Marine millionaire, and all it takes, at the bare minimum, is investing $20 a day. Thank you.